Hello, 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 everyone. This is Mohammed Shillong, Sunday, August 27th, 2023, coming from the great state of North Carolina, USA. With me, co host, Mr. Victor Mengot, who will be coming to you people from the county of Surrey in England. So, what practice is he will make his own self introduction. So, he needs no introduction from me or to most of the listeners then. Today, we get the topics that we'll get for deal with now about traffic um, enforcement, traffic regulations, and so we will do a part of a couple of weeks ago. So now we'll do a follow up, which we will call part two. And since we do the first one, we do see the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the minister in charge have put into effect some regulations where like me so think they within the framework of the statute or statutory laws as well as the constitution of Sierra Leone. So we go examine those then thing and day. We could talk about Okada drivers them, the wearing of helmets, you know, carrying of load, you know, and we will review the traffic laws. We will talk about directives from the police and the prohibition of parking in certain areas. You know, we will talk about many other things. Parking zone, where to park, where not to park, and so forth and so on. In fact, we will even play a video of an accident which just take place recently because the driver seemed to have been driving very recklessly. This is just to safeguard lives and property. And so, with standard formula on this show, as usual, is that we proceed with mutual respect. Callers show mutual respect for fellow callers as well as the host of the show. Call in, disagree, do all of that, but don't try for being insulting or disrespectful. And in response, you'll be treated in like manner. We also hope we will deal with. Well, let me just go straight to the phone numbers then to call to reach us. We beget a little problem with one of our regular listeners and audience. So I think there was some mistake or mistaken belief that the toll-free number, and maybe our fault also will not be clarified that, as we should have. So I think he was calling a toll-free number, which will cause anyone, if you are not within North America, if you're not in the United States, Canada, or Mexico, and you call in at the toll-free number, you may get charged. Okay? So we strongly encourage only those who are within this hemisphere, Mexico, Canada, and the US. So when I get the toll-free number now for winner. Also, there is some technical thing with even callers from England. Not to everywhere. The England number can work as with the presenter, but it may not be for the entire country. It might be for certain areas like London and where Mr. Mustafa can call from. I think there is no fee calling from that area using the current number over the key now screen. So we just want to make that clear. And if you are calling from other areas worldwide, including Sierra Leone, you are much better off to use the WhatsApp line. The WhatsApp line costs no one anything. So please, don't forget the WhatsApp line. I think when we say toll free, the word free might mislead people thinking that you now get for pay. You not get for pay only if you live in Mexico, Canada, or the US. But if you use the toll-free line, not living in one of the areas there, it will cost you money. So you're much better advised to use the WhatsApp line, which is free worldwide. That said, let me just repeat the number. The toll-free line, now 1-866-944-7722. 866-944-7722. The UK local call number, now plus 44 20 80 89 1455. Plus 44 20 80 89 1455. That's the local UK number. The Australia local number, if you are calling from Australia, is plus 61 29 09 84 334 337. From Australia, it's plus 61 29 09 84 337. That also is local and may not be applicable to all the entire Australia. But we do know from places like Sydney, them places, and there you were able to access we. And of course, the WhatsApp number, which is a regular number, is 1343 997 5828. 1343 997 5828. For WhatsApp, you can call from anywhere, and you will be able to reach me. And I think one of we listeners then and contributors maybe they get difficulty for 2 weeks in a row for call we in injecting your comments. So I hope he's listening. I hope say he can able call, but he get for use the WhatsApp line, which is 343 997 5828. Last but not least, we also have a radio show coming from Freetown, the VOS radio in Freetown, 91.9 FM. VOS radio Freetown, 91.9 FM. Particularly if you're in the west in the eastern area of Freetown, you get more access to this station than if you're in the western part. So we just want to let people know, say we get all the areas there for be able for access with. In addition to that, we're carried on YouTube, we're carried on Instagram, we're carried on WhatsApp, so we get many other. We're carried on Facebook. So these are areas people can be listening to us and making contributions and sending in their own live comments. In addition to calling in at any time you wish. So that said, let me turn now over to me co-host, Mr. Victor Mangot, to just introduce himself and maybe state some of the topics that we're going to talk about. Then it will switch back to me. Mr. Mangot, over to you.
Well, Fambulem, in a good evening, if you're in England or you're in Salon. Good afternoon if you're in America. Good morning, wherever you did. Usa will not know Usa you did. Me today in a co-host for this program, Victor Akomengot. So today, what one can look at, we can look at this traffic law enforcement. We know saying a new government minister they will get. They're not new anymore because they don't go through parliament. Parliament don't approve them. They don't take the oath of office. So the two main ministers responsible for traffic law enforcement. Now, one, the Minister of Affairs, where they're in charge of the police. We know say the police gets a prominent role on traffic law enforcement. Then the Minister of Courts, where they're in charge of road safety, when are the authority were responsible for road safety, traffic law enforcement. I will go for this program, look at the mandates, see how they are, then they work together, and see some of the challenges the way we actually get for deal with. But for today, when the Minister of Internal Affairs has been come, it been come with some directive there, where it been say with immediate effect, where we been comment when our part one. We say, well, then tia what you want to do, at least give people some time, let's sink na the aid. And we're glad for report say the power they listen to we. Because all throughout this week, they may get consultation with the keke riders them, they get consultation with the Okada rider them, they get consultation with drivers union, they get consultation with the Personnel Fair Association, then the police don't put a communique. So today on program, what we want to do, one can look at then directives here when an existing law, not a new law, and what's in the law say about it. Because you as a road user, whether you are a private motorist, you are an operator of a taxi or poda or keke or Okada, you get to know your right, you get to know your duties, you get to know your obligations. So now that one can explain to Ina and show the different references. So that left answer for now. But we hope say this one will be interactive. People can get a lot of traffic. And I will make reference to the law as it is. And we get with legal expert now. We will actually guide Ina on their legal thing and day, especially where it be say some of them can result in financial penalty. So family and the word that. So over to the lead presenter say we go have much something elsewhere happen during the week because this is a media review and social service review. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. Now, in the show today, we agree say from time to time we try for give people an update as to recent events or issues that way they affect people and lives or developments within the country, politically or otherwise. So one of the things we catch our attention now the appearance of the chief minister and some videos them what we see about them. So we just want comment, one play them video then they. When we play the video, then we will do with comments. Then two videos one play. One video, I think say maybe the way we go do it, we go play one, the first one, where he just express himself and an envision for the country or the city. And then after that, maybe we will make one or two comments, and then we will play the other one, we deal with the renovation or cleaning of UU building environment in the compound. So with that said, I will ask the control room for please play with the first video where involve the chief minister in expression of how we see the country and what he thinks he able to. So please control room, play it for us. Let us see.
Hi. So I don't be chief minister now for a couple of weeks. And the other day, when they talk to me, boss, to President Bio, and I tell and say, and on one part I was angry and frustrated, and on another part I was hopeful. And I believe, say, parts of the anger and frustration now that you meet people them way they do the wrong thing. It's not public sector, private sector, and then noticing that the wrong thing where the country they benefit from, but then they still do it. Angry and frustrated because say it possible for make me this country I go before, it possible for make me we with the salon raise the revenue in a salon. We go make we solve water problem, with streets problem, with light problem, with the right set of leadership. And that leadership is not from home to the streets to the workplace to everywhere. The hope part now that we the people and we they are be able to fix this country. And where I mean we all. in government. Certainly, President build on certain team. But you get different people and we don't did it for 15, 20 years at the same departments and don't they? So the fact that they don't did it through all this time means they then still get a responsibility and role for play, not to the one anymore than they vote for. So one bad thing that we people that don't see, I don't engage in our private sector. I genuinely believe in private sector. We know say that private sector will get for use for transforming country. However, we also know that we get private sector, then they pay the right amount of taxes. It's not about paying high taxes. It's that just people don't pay taxes, not the right amount. Then they under-declare, then they get all kind concession, all kind waiver, all kind scheming. And then you get the other one where they do real good stuff, where they actually work properly, and so it can be frustrating. You get the one where they not government place, then where somebody they can't give them 5 million, 10 million, yeah, then they turn a blind eye, then the country suffer. Because not the only way that the way me they see how people then they get through the system illegally. Now I make them not like digitization, because we digitize and automate, like they pull the motorman in weakness. We not sometimes with them they can't bribe or bigger for me get concession or may look the other way. So you get this element where say the people that somebody in the streets go one chap you money for nothing, a lie, a thief you money. The person within our office, they take bribe because they want 5 million, 1 million, then the country they losses tens of millions. You get the private sector businessman where they make 60% profit margin. And then go try for explain, tax is high, most of them know they pay. But then the cost of doing business. But I might explain this cost of doing business. If you take, and I've been known say, reduced profits, not so the same thing as loss. But corporate people then they make 40, 50, 60% profit margins. Now the people then they suffer. The average guy in the streets then they suffer. So if you say you need 60% profit margin, but then you take 15%, you go bribe different people then at different layers. Then you take another 15%, you go just pay different random people along the way. That's not good business. That's just poor business. But the people who they suffer are the government and the country and the individuals, because the prices become high, then government loses revenue and government has to overtax and come up with policies that might not be favorable. And so what you see is that because the system, the person who they tifia and that businessman where they making losses go, where they tif one bag, rest 2 bags cement here, the businessman said no, say the cleaner than the thief. Then now they instead go on for get more money for make up for that thief or then thief. And so it increase the price where it affects the cleaner and also get for bill back. It's just a vicious cycle of people not making a commitment to solve and fix our country. That's frustrating and angry, and I've seen that a lot. As I study, where I study, I ask questions, I want to understand what's in the happening across the board. But I'm hopeful because I think it's possible we can fix this, we can do this. And for us to do this, we all get to work together on this vision here for Change Salon. And President Bill in 5 big game changers really not for make my whole country go forward. So I'm glad and I'm excited about another week. As we try to fix our loan, we will deliver.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. This is just some of the things we want to touch on. We want to let people then look at the chief minister, let them make their own assessment of his demeanor, for determining in sincerity and in determination, we can make your assessment of and just listening to him talking. I personally was impressed, or I am impressed, with the fact that just 2 weeks into the job, he is able to begin to see some of the problems and some of the causes of the problems that would face with. So one man is not going to be able to do, because the chief minister, I don't know what in the job description, but I think say now like an overseer or a general manager for manage all the other ministries under, and so you get to keep an eye is the in at the eye of the president, because the primary responsibility for promote the president in agenda or in programs them. So I think that the chief minister in job that one. He by himself is not going to be able to do everything unless he delegates. But some of the point that we raise, what we listen to him, we are all very much familiar with. He talk about the private sector is very, very important in terms of the building of the economy, and improving living conditions, the economic condition of the country. Without a doubt, the private sector is a major, major, major partner. But policies have to be in place. Words or talk is cheap. If we have the private sector for help with and for begin to come up with policies, we go indicate that the government is serious about, because you can't just be talking about private sector for we were there abroad for just take all we life savings and go home and invest them, take all the risk. Government should be willing to introduce programs will create incentives for some of we for go. So you're not going to clear your bank account. Now America, now Australia, now Canada, now England, for go set up any kind of business. For instance, I get a young man we kind of use the other day. He can tune up my air conditioners. So in talking, he catch me accent. Now he say, "Where are you from, sir?" Now I say, "I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa." I say, "Where are you from?" But he didn't get American accent. Now they say, "Well, from the Congo." Now I say, "But you sound more American. Were you born here and your parents are just Congolese?" I say, "No, but he came when he very young." But he was the air conditioning repairman. And in talking, he said to me, "He will like for take this in skills back to Congo one day." Even though very young man, I grew up, I did, but he get this burning desire for go Congo for help in parents in country or in country of lineage. So when people then take upon themselves say they want to go home, what does the government have to offer them if they want to go home for offer something? When the banking system now get policies whereby you can borrow money, they now get system whereby they can finance the buying of the house, so you can get housing mortgage. It's about time we begin to think about anything in there. And the private businesses, them, do they have things like where you go buy? Say if you work require getting transportation of some sort for your employees, them like what we call lorry. We not get system, or do we have systems whereby the banks in the old days there were things that what you call hire purchase, where people can get able to buy money and motorcar on installment basis. But things have gotten so bad and privileges have been so abandoned that we don't know what vestiges of the old system still remain. So these are some of the things. So for put the system back in a working condition, for get the country going forward. The chief minister need for talk to the president in terms of some of them things here. Get your economists them. Everything cannot be a deal upon deal upon deal, because this is what is killing the spirit. Okay? Everything we want to do, you get for know somebody. So if I go borrow money in a bank, there is no reason why the bank for begin play with me. Say if I not bribe a banker, if I not give a banker something, I not forget an approved loan. Within a foreign countries, a lot of we bankers they don't know we personally would be able to get loan just on with credit worthiness because they keep record of how reliable and trustworthy you are of your of your credit reliance. So we can do the same thing back home. Everything and some of we the advocates, we see how they work now. No, we not forget to say Americans are people who get two legs, two eyes, two hands. The Australians, the Canadians, the British, God not make them any different from we. The only thing we make them far more advanced than we, now then thought process, now how do they think and how do they implement things. Now the difference then, because we own thinking process is just not in terms of going forward, it's always it's just a strange thing. But what did the chief minister say? I just try to say, if we want really move forward, the private sector, because the chief minister does see a lot of fault in the system, how people are whether in the government or offices for a long time, they're not used to certain ways. If they get bribes, I mean, it's so refreshing for a minister of a sitting government just even highlighting some of those problems, because I haven't heard that in my entire life. Now, in that country, there. So it's just refreshing that we'll get a minister who seems to be aware of some of the problems, seems to be very determined of tackling some of them problems here. But what's achieved, like I said, is not going to be as easy if you want the cooperation of the business sector. And the business sector can't just be all foreigners. Sierra Leoneans also have to be uplifted with policies. And if you say Sierra Leoneans never come home, put policies in place who will encourage them to come home and invest, even if they not come for tap, you know. So a lot of us would rather invest some of our money for help people and create employment. But until then, we're going to be doing this rotating things just like we did in a circle. So I just want to stop there. If they can play the second video for we of the foreign minister, what I want to elaborate on, because the foreign minister started off in optimism about improving Sierra Leone by starting with the cleaning of UU building, which I understand house nowadays about 70% of the ministerial or of the ministries are, you know, now UU building. But that's another topic, because you wonder why so many ministries in one building at one location. But that would be another topic. So with that said, can we have the control room play the second video of the chief minister so we can proceed?
This place, because if you left, so grab them, What's the name? Defense.
Let me call him.
That would be progress.
Okay, let's talk about this later.
All right.
About this one, the piece of the
Yeah, but that is
Big brother.
Yes,
How you doing?
okay. Thank you, sir.
Let's see how you doing now.
Good morning, sir. We'd like to say a few words on the afternoon lobby exercise.
Clean with clean.
It's not important.
Let's see. Now we get place for clean, and we get country clean. So we not cleaner. We will do like government. Anyway, now we'll put it.
I love flopper. We're going to have people. The chicken obstacle, but yes. And then put up to my brother and said, I'm playing. I said, because me, that's what it is. Around. So this kind of intention with the minister or the president the order count, I hope saying a good initiative this way they don't count. Before even the country clean, now we're all clean. Not to APC clean, not to SFPP clean, not to PMBC. Now we all see around here and then we don't join, we don't clean. So I hope say if anybody will know say this exercise are good, can join, we more clean the country. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the exercise, sir? In a minute.
I think this is a classic case of community spirit. We therefore show the world, say, we work with each other for the common good of this country. So I'm very pleased about what they see. All men from different walks of life, they all do a constructive work for the betterment of the people. It sends the right message that we can change this country. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
How you work, sir?
Yes, I had the work.
Which floor? Which ministry?
Yeah, building 6th floor, Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs.
So what do you think about this exercise?
Very good. You know, the quantum of dirty we don't come out. Now this place here today, we say putting at the bed, not be fishing and so it will cook. Wow. So the only thing we will need for do, we don't for the do this once in every like forever, but for the do and constantly. You know, so that it becomes part of the culture. Say, what side we did, what side we work, forget the environment clean.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Minister there, Minister of Local Government there, Honorable Tamalamina, you see the strawberry.
Good morning, Mr. Minister.
Morning.
What do you think about this exercise?
Well, a very positive exercise. The problem will get really that the fact say we don't get waste bins and dump sites within the building. It's a very big ministerial building where they host thousands of workers and daily dirty come out of this place. But we say for dispose of the dirty, I think said I will not address it. But I will say with this particular exercise, all the things that they will try to focus right now.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Oh my God, look at you. How are you?
Yes, sir.
This is our building. We have to take ownership. Not to all see no more pass we say government. No, we say send up government. So that we run together. So to me, I'm very pleased with the councillors here, with the young people, the ministers, the authority, all the together. That will finish this thing. We'll finish up, we have to plant some trees then. So if you sit down now, you get some places to sit down. We put also some baskets there where you eat your food, or you get your dirty with a plastic, you throw it inside it, and throw it out. Let us take ownership of this country that we are home. No other home, not this. This is our home. So this initiative was rightly asked. Very, very good. And the chief minister is there with me, with other ministers and with the coordinators with all day. I think this is wonderful. This is wonderful. Let us take ownership of the country.
And you are?
Well, we are one of the 62 councillors who will make a up in a council, Councillor Melamin Jallo, and also an organizing secretary representing the Silent People's Party, constituency 117 in East Urban District, in Olduna and West Urban Gate. So, Chief Minister called me to attention, say the one who can join for Gandu Naya, that take me opportunity to come and join me colleagues, councillors, I be asking the city show with this, not to anything say pass government or pass them pay money. No, you say what thing you do for your country. Ask yourself, what have I done for my country? You understand it? You don't put money go bring companies, but when starting time we work in the day when a manual level, do one for help of cleaning the place. Before you are cleaning this stuff, who says they can't sit on? I don't government no more they can't. Never I'm becoming a minister. No. Now take responsibility for make the country. Not only government they make country. Me and you when are the citizens. Now they government. Look at all honorable Robbie Pale in the institution. Why would I win at the grassroots? I make a can join the colleagues then they can clean out don't clean by body power and would they contain any side where His Excellency call me for go clean and we're ready for body to do it free of cost. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mamusu Masako, Deputy Minister, Basic Education.
What do you think about this exercise?
I just think it's really innovative. It means that we are bringing charity home, and it means that we are actually leading by examples. Because what you see today is unprecedented. It's not normally the thing to do, and it's not only that we're here talking and actually posing, but we're actually cleaning and participating in the cleaning. So we kind of like motivate, we are managing, we are supervising, and we are giving the enthusiasm required to motivate people to actually participate in the cleaning. So it's been a good day.
Thank you.
tell am say people wey go, but e don allow them.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't see waiting the point where we try for making here. Then say if married go sweet and the bachelor's eve you go know. So Mr. Senge is starting off. Now America will say on the good foot, or Dr. Senge. Now let me make one thing clear. Anyone with a degree or a title, doctor, is also a mister. So if one doesn't call you doctor at all times, don't feel it's deliberate or you're being disrespected. It's just that we feel more at home when we call ourselves Moewo, Moenina, Moewa, that way, all engine in there, instead of just always going by lawyer Shillon, doctor this, doctor that. So, but that doesn't take anything away. We get the utmost regard for the minister, the chief minister. We also want to make people realize for say, the work being done, what we see so. This comes under what we will call beautification, because the amount of trash we see within the taker, and then this is not just within the compound of UU building, we're being told. The surrounding of UU building, you get cars them that have been broken down, left unattended to for years along the road and the side of the building. In fact, under good governmental policy, and we're not to blame this government, I don't know if we could blame the previous government or the Kaba government, or that entire block there should have been preserved just for government facilities, buildings and everything, instead of getting car wash next to UU building. And we know say UU building, there are schools around there. So we forget something we could compensate the building, not to things the way they take away from the significance of the building. Then we make the place a salvage yard, where in a day people go abandon cars. And some of them we don't know, even UU building, until recently, until the minister take this action, there are people who live in the neighborhood, now UU building compound and go to it and dirty. We cannot allow that, because you get to uplift the spirit of the people and the nation. Watching the man at the top, what he do, it set a great example. So somebody just point out something, say, well, the hope say it's not going to be a one-day cleaning. It's not going to be every now and then. No, this should be a government policy. We were there abroad, we know say, every government building, first of all, what you would see in a salon is appalling. It's strange. No government building, you could see they sell markets in the compound. No government building you will see, then you go through it dirty, na ground na the compound. No government building you will see trash. You will see order, you will see and security guards them, where they try for assist people and when they encounter the compound, asking for direction, whether they come for see. So you will see trash cans them around if you get some dirty where you want to wait. So now that we don't use. So when you go salon now, ministerial building, then they sell cookery under, then they sell market under. Look what you will see. You get abandoned motorcar tires then at the compound of UU building. Look almost cleaner than they do. So, I hope we learn from this example where the minister set, and the government for adopt a policy. And the people that where they clean government offices, not to every now and then in the cleanup. So we have to have a policy whereby there will be cleaning crews where they take care of them government offices there. And not to one person for give contract. You get for spread the contract out so people then will get jobs. So if you get a cleaning crew where they take care of your building, it could be more than one ownership of a cleaning crew because your building is somewhat a tall building. So you can get 2-3 people, 2-3 businesses then will get contract for cleanup. You can get different business where just get contract for clean the outside, but on a daily basis, what you would have used, government offices should be cleaned every day. It should be mopped, it should be swept, trash should be emptied. We can't forget that kind of a policy there. And it creates employment because there are people sitting down doing nothing who will gladly do that kind of a job there. You know? So we hope the minister does start something we not get for abandon. It's not going to be just a show or one day business, then we abandon that. I hope the government will sit now and try to make policies where all government offices, UU building or any other building, at the courthouse, all the there should be cleaning crews taking care of the toilets, taking care of the compound, taking care of everything. So that said, and we don't want to elaborate because we don't permit me co-host for say we're only going to spend about at the most 20 minutes on this, but it seems like we'll spend more time. So that said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, turn everything back over to him, and we'll go from there. So, Mr. Mangot, I'm back with you, sir.
Yes. Famulem, I know say, then can say age before beauty. Where they host a program with somebody when a big guy, you get for left and let express your opinion. But for just round up to what he say, I go want tickle in fancy of me own suggestion, but I not go like comment. We will comment that where they finish. I mean, like what he talk, so if we be remember some time them in there, where prisoners them, now they go clean. Like if you remember lockouts, you can see where they can carry them and they go clean them compound, all that thing. Not only that, it come back to the main topic today what I'm not saying all one listen to when at this traffic law enforcement, where they get a boku charge. Because in traffic law, they implement the law, you get some law they win a civil law. So rather than would they send keke rider them, Okada rider them for let them go on custodial centers, we can get a community services and people that we can put we flout the law, we'll put on community service, we will go do their work then day. I shall say me lawyer friend go comment on that because this program will not just the analyze what in government with the profile solutions. So now let's come to the main topic of today when at traffic law enforcement. And I know say I don't send them a various group them, the traffic enforcement group them as alone, the Poda group them, and people they want listen about traffic enforcement. If you now remember, this is now part 2. Part 1 was the time we get the new Minister for Internal Affairs when a retired Brigadier Toluva, where they in charge of police, we come and say, well, he want to bring sanity on the roads. And he said, nobody not go left for see people and die on the roads because of reckless and careless driver. And at the time we make the pronouncement, I remember some of the things that we been saying in the car, they say with immediate effect. And my legal friend Naya been say, what? When they say they do them here, not so just with immediate effect, you get forgive people in time. The other thing the other comments we make was that fine, it's good for them they make them here, but for points to people them, the law will give and that power day for actually say this is what I'm going to implement. Then at the second point. So that makes so the topic today that traffic law enforcement, citizens, rights, duties, and obligation. Because when government make law, and we'll get a lawyer. Then lawyer on there as all in our books, as I tell you, and I will make reference today for let all man know. The law starts from the 2007 Road Traffic Act. If you take 2007 to now well over 15 years, because 2007 to 2017, now 10 years. 2017 to 2023 or this so. Now another almost 16 years. Then we also get the Road Traffic Regulation 2011, and I go able to explain to people that waiting at the difference between an act of parliament and a regulation when a statutory instrument. So this is what we're going to talk about now. So following the announcement then by the Minister for Internal Affairs at the time, in co-minister, when are the Minister of Transport. Not been there yet. It not been there tongue. It don't count tongue now. It don't go through parliamentary approval. It don't take an oath of office. So again, the Minister of Transport don't endorse waiting in co-minister when a Minister of Internal Affairs they do. And instead of all consultation with the Keke people them, the Okada people them, the Poda people them, and also the passenger welfare people them. But again, for some of we listeners then we they talk about private medicine. People that already drive their own car. If not you they drive stuff, you get a driver. The law they also affect you. So now they can look now and make reference to the law. Because the police don't put out a press notice when at the 6 months I will call them directive. And I will explain a lot of things to people in here as a traffic engineer and a road safety advocate and somebody will get knowledge about traffic law. So let's start first. I hope so the technical team now will give you a guide, because the first thing where the minister talk about, because the police been get the communique on the 17th of August 2023, nine and put them press release. We confirm what in their own boss say. And the Sierra Leone police will dismay the increased level of lawlessness and recklessness displayed on our road by some motorists. Okay, now, before we go into the law, what in the law say, let me look at the mandate of the two ministries and their agencies already under them. Right? Prior to the 2007 Road Traffic Act, the police then have been the people that will get the number one responsibility for road traffic law enforcement and regulation. But then, when in 1996, the then President Kaba creates the Sierra Leone Road Transport Authority, where now they call themselves the Road Safety Authority. Now they give the principal responsibility for traffic law enforcement in collaboration with the police. So where does the problem lies is in terms of interpretation and application of the law. Because the Road Safety Authority, when I've been the Road Transport Authority, the act also was amended in 2003 for create the traffic warden service, what they call road traffic, we get responsible for traffic enforcement. So these are the challenges. But now also mention, say, we get the city council, especially when it comes to parking, because parking are one of the things where the directive where this minister and talk supported by the Minister of Transport. And in the application of the law, Now that makes what we call as citizens' rights, duties, and obligation. And I go make reference to the law. Okay, now 6 points that he make, and I go want clarify because people they not ask me questions so many times. If we technical team can go into point 1 for we he lift them up, then I will read them, then I go able get people them the right what in the law say. I get an eye, it says number 1, it be prohibited. He said, against this backdoor, the Sierra Leone police would like to inform the general public that effective from the 1st of September, not the foul, who stand at the 1st of September? 1st of September now by this week. So Fambule and Alisino, it shall be prohibited to abandon or park vehicles, motorcycles, tricycles on the road. Garage owners shall not be allowed to use any of the road as a garage. Vehicle, motorcycle, tricycle, or garage owners must therefore ensure that they remove all vehicles or tricycles in the road. That's fine. Now that's the point 1 say. But let we look at, before government go say they restrict parking, we get for look at 18. And I go let for refer to with people them to the Road Traffic Act 2007, and then they cover under section 112, 112. And that's where they make them lawyer. Now then the government therefore look at. I go look at section 112 say, right? A person who drives, it's section 117 of the Road Traffic Act. A person who parks a motor vehicle wholly or partly on the verge or a shoulder of a road or any land situated between two carriageway or on a footway. This act here is show you who say you know for park vehicle. And what it show you who say enough for park vehicle, it tell you also say if you park in an place then they you commit an offense where if they convict you to a fine not exceeding 250,000 leons or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 12 months. I want let me legal person listen to this because I want to comment on that. He said on summary conviction, where if you say if not summary conviction, it means say then therefore take you go to a court of law. But also, the government also gets obligation. And that obligation there, is there under the Road Traffic Regulation 2011, where a subsidiary act or a statutory instrument where subsidiary to the 207 road traffic law. Because when would they make law, then they put and say, law they, like an act of parliament, they can make provision for subsequent regulation. It means say they not get for go back na parliament for create a new act. So the regulation will follow. Now I want read through. Then after that, I go get me legal luminary for comments because this is not two-way thing. Even when they talk about this parking, section 112 of the Road Traffic Regulation 2011 say the authority, in this case when they say authority, now the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, where are the number 1, shall designate a portion of the road as a controlled parking zone. So before you enforce parking, you get forget what you call controlled parking zone. And for sure, who sign a controlled parking zone, you get for sure vertical sign, when I no parking sign. If you answer a simple sign, you can get a white background, right? With vehicle there, if not vehicle or lorry, then you get a cross across say no parking. Or if na road markings, we all know from them country, double yellow line, na no go area, na no parking, no waiting. Single yellow line, na limited parking, like where you drop off. Right? But you get forget then signs then they and notification for people that when a motorist. Now make so we call this program rights, duties, and obligations. So for the citizen the right, you get for protect the right by specifying then here a waiting a control parking zone. Right? A control parking zone, even within the control parking zone, they say somebody where did it. Now that area there, when a control parking zone, can apply for a permit. That is, a person who resides permanently in the control parking zone area for get concession. Customers or employees of a company or business enterprise whose place of business is in the control parking zone. Person who supply or transport goods to or from the company. So it talk about NTR. So for government for implement parking restriction, right? Then get for make provision for them. So let's stop here. Let's give me legal man, let self comment on that. Then I'll come to the next part where some of the children talk about the CBD when a central business district there also other parking restriction there. And I go like for explain to people them the CBD and the area them where based on my knowledge of working in traffic, waiting na the area the way restricted parking. This na my own civic duty. And I go while with citizen comment. So over to you, Mr. Shillon. From then guidance here I don't give in terms of the law.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. Let me let the audience know that the lines are open. They are free to call at any time if they get any comments or suggestions. Because normally we can announce that, but I probably failed earlier to announce that the lines are open. So please feel free to call. And also, we just see there were some commentaries on the previous segment of what we did, but it is what it is. We will deal with that issue there next time around. With respect to all this, what Mr. Mengo just talked about, these things don't work. It's one thing to pass laws, but the key is enforcement. So how do we enforce then laws there? What Mr. Mengo just referred to. Okay, there are instances in which they talk about, for example, the minister say effective September 1st, some of them regulations here will go into effect. Fine. Now we talk about people's rights. So it may very well be that September 1st to the time, from the time when this notice was put out to the public, I don't know what the effective date was when the notice went out, but to the time when the new regulation will take effect, September 1st, you ask yourself
It's
the question.
17th of August.
Okay, so from August 17th to September 1st, one might ask him or herself, is that reasonable notice to the public? Sometimes the relative, what is reasonable? Sometimes only the courts can make a determination. Is it from the 17th to the 1st, from the 17th of August to the 1st of September? Is that ample time for accord people a reasonable notice to comply with them restrictions here or them prohibition here? I can say yes or no. It may very well be, depending on the public service announcement, the frequency with which it was being done, and then the area, taking into account the totality of the situation, because some people are not get radio, some people are not get television, some people are not read newspaper. So is a 2-week time span sufficient time for give people what one will refer to as adequate notice. And adequate notification is important because the law, the Constitution, requires what we will call due process. An adequate notice, now part of due process. You put the public on notice for a reasonable time to be able to comply. Now, I cannot say 2 weeks is insufficient or 2 weeks is more than ample. Somehow, down the line, if someone is caught violating the law or there are restrictions there, that's why you have lawyers, you go to court, you contest the reasonableness of the time period where the Internal Affairs Minister give and see what the court will say. If the court upholds that length of time there, then it becomes the law. If the court say, no, 2 weeks is not sufficient time to enforce the law by notifying people, then you can attack the law based on the reasonableness of the law. So it may be 2 weeks is a reasonable time, 2 weeks may not be a reasonable time. But that's one thing I just want for let people to know. That will not be settled until somebody challenges in court. But for right now, September 1st is the law until the court outlaws it, but as long as the court continues to enforce it, that will be the law. But if the lawyer goes to court, challenges the legality or the reasonableness of the law, and the law is stricken down on the basis of it's not reasonable to expect people based upon we own economic, social circumstance, that 2 weeks is not enough time to be able to put people on notice for do certain things. The court can say, therefore, then we'll strike that law day. So I just try to tell people how some of these arguments go sometimes. But now the 2 week notice from August 17 to September 1st is the law. The other things that we want, the other thing I want people to know is that because Mr. Mengo just read a law, like part of the enforcement will be the fine or the consequences if you fail to comply with the law. I think he reads somewhere where he says you'll be fined something not in excess of, I can't remember what the amount is. Okay.
250,000.
Okay, 250,000 leons. Well, what would the talk about enforcement?
Okay, now because we get two currency, 50,000 old leons or 250 new leons.
Okay, that's good too. And this is where vagueness comes into play, because that might be the old law, was it 250,000? So if they not update that law day, someone can go to court and say, well, the law is not clear whether it's old leon or new leon. Therefore, either you have the option or the law itself is not valid because give people an adequate notice as to where how to comply with the law. So, but the other thing is, I see where you say 250,000. Well, again, we have to make an assessment. Is 250,000 adequate amount for making an impression on a violator, or it will not create a dent? So if 250,000 leon, and I think the law said not to exceed. So I wonder why they say not to exceed. I would have been more comfortable if they say not less than. If the statute or regulation was crafted that way, instead of saying not to exceed 250,000, they could leave that up to the discretion of the court and just say you'll be fined no less than 100,000, 150,000, 50,000, whatever it is, and leave the amount of fine to be paid, as long as it's within reasoning. I would have suggested that instead of saying not to exceed, they should have just said not less than, and then you want to see like the ordinary Okada driver, the keke rider. These guys, what kind of fine can you impose on them and give them a limited time for pay, like 30 or 60 days? We'll go get your attention. We don't want for fine people let you
Okay,
go.
yeah. Mr. Chilan, just to clarify, that 250,000 was set up in 2011. So before we go further, two caller on the line, because this is a program one interactive. As usual, you can direct them. Lo, you're waiting the caller they want
Okay.
to see, sir.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from?
Una good
Hello.
evening, oh, me family them.
Yes, good evening. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. My name is Mr. F. I come from Holland.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate your call.
Okay. Okay. What do you mean they say we government, then they got some program then. The program they find for a year years. But for implement that program, then I know the difficulty they get in that country day. For tell the driver they selling for park, they selling not for park, very good. But me, I remember last year I was in Freetown. The people in that thing they make for the road, people they pass. I didn't in the cell. I get off my family, they don't break the foot and they place the where they go by pass people in the cell. Then on top of the gutter, then they put market for sale. Mudikana they go outside the park. Bicycle when they go outside the park. And if the government say in the give a restriction, they let people not park anyhow, then people provide some places there. We said them for park. That if they don't do that, they go to the law. What the law go hold water? But we not get no opportunity to the driver then and to the people in the cell. I'm not sure this level you can't set the whole water. If they want all the back rider and taxi people them for put them in prison. But nobody can afford even 100,000 for a day. Talk less than 250,000 for a day. So what you mean see? Let them put things in place first. Like the market people, let them make the market. So they only go to them get that. Anybody want to buy, go to the market they buy. That go they pull in a road. The driver in Bangladesh, the same thing. Let them make bus stop. Because yeah, remember Saturday night so when they go down electronic card for pay, they give you 2 years and you can get everything when they inform before time. But now in case of people don't know when they come out, check out, then they can't go money all. They give you 2 years. Let's say you check in, if you forget for check, I take out on the bus, they go back to the place and go reform your money due. But they all not in a salon. And taxi people they park anyhow in the country. So for the bike rider or the keke rider. For me, I'm not in evidence. Now good program one day. Where the town then clean. Because the current driver and the motor rider and the market people that the country. That's not right thing. But let the people play first before they implement that law. Because better for you all. Go to that. They go put everybody in a prison for that law day. Because every day people do mistake. And I could say that 25% in that country we just no education. The balance them all no education for you. For them, no party under the holy, the party in a right place for back. Not everybody get access there under. But everybody get bike. Everybody get keke. So that's not my band for you. Una thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your comments. Okay. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from? Hello, caller.
Yeah, hello. This now Mustafa we call from France.
Okay, Mr. Mustafa
And,
from France. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you very much for our precious time the one that they take for this program. Let God reward you now for the good one that they fed for relent and the information the one that they give. And
Amen.
the way thing that happen in our country, you know, the laws the way they can make, I don't know if they can just sit down no more, then can talk. Because now talking. Because you know they make law when you not prepare for the law. Imagine, for example, you say street trading, you want end street trading. Now, do you know where they sell? Who side they go? Who side they carry them go? I mean, you go don't make place for alternative. Say, okay, because of the pool na una for go ya. Because I know alone una park ya, una for park ya. But nothing like that they know they. You know, they can just sit down no more than just the talk big talk or I don't know. Because you know they can make law, we not make provision for the law. So I don't know how they expect people them for live in that kind of tight country we not well planned. Because any kind of thing, if we want doing NPR system, then they first to make some bus stop and other things them. From when they see that regime they pass, now all suspend. Say today, now street trader, not of us say people are happy for the go sit down and but if you don't give them sign for go sell, they get for take care of their home them. They get for take care of them picking them. The end of the day, now street some of them just get for go sell because market safe not there. Even the market they make so. They don't get for accommodate all the people, all the street traders them. That Victoria Park road they make so. Even what the street safe alone don't flop the Victoria Park. For saying they count about they now. So all this way then they fed for put law, then get things away now, pressing issues there right now. Pressing issues, let them find way forget an alternative for the city, let it be expand. Why is them go to let mama area, let them go to put some administrative building and there so people are not all man go to run campus here, run can at all. But if you watch Nasalona money, all man they won't go towards PZ. Even the old man they won't go towards east and some part of the west. And then thing and they all now well structured. You get for put the country, you get for make the country fine. Look that peninsula and the wide on the right now. It don't full up, it don't make, but they don't get nothing when a good thing there for say administrative building there or other thing. All man they come towards PZ. From east to all man come towards PZ. From west to all man come towards PZ. Parking, them building and they already now free on the 95% of them not get parking. So I don't know who's kind of lower than the Fed. Then the Fed for talk no more or for talk sake. When the pressing issues and they were there for really concentrate part. God bless you now for this wonderful program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate your call. Hello, caller. What's
I
your name?
think someone that call on the line, but for just respond to these people, these laws are not new laws. They always did it. But as you say, where they make law, and based on your experience, where I don't work in a country the way they make law, you get to look at how much it cost you for administer the law, waiting at the alternative way they provide, and how they able protect people and rights. So I will left and so let's continue with the other callers then.
Okay. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from?
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, please turn your system down a little bit so you're not going to echo.
Yeah, Mina Abdullah the call from Mina.
Okay, Abdul, welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank you immensely for the educating and informative program we on the year out today. I just want to make comments on the three issues that we raised: this traffic, the duties, obligations, then the chief minister in two clips they want to play. Let's start with the chief minister in clips. Let's start with the first one where they express frustration and dissatisfaction so far with in job, especially pertaining the one way they concern the economic taxation and leakages with it. First of all, I feel the political will now always lacking. You know, start with this from previous governments. Where the political will lack, we're not able to maximize efficiency and get the desired result. I remember when the president came, we talked about the single treasury account. When the political will in that same week, everything come into play. With single treasury accounts coming. Then we realized there are so many leakages when the president mentioned he go can block 10 leakages in the. And one main leakage we still they run rather the customs and excise and the NRA and the Twitter and key. There are so many leakages that are still there. And one good thing where the minister talk now that if then digitalize everything, then when human touch no day between you way they go for the service or you way ship things or whatever, and not day between we go able to reduce the corruption. And but then start on with the cash register machine, then we then go install a private businesses. And they're not able to enforce on that much. So that is where again I'm able to question the sincerity of the NRA officials, the government, and because no matter wherever you go, people don't want pay tax. And here in here out, when IMF they go, they always they always advise government say they for broadening the tax base. Means there are some businesses where not they pay tax, where not they actually pay the right tax where they're supposed to pay, and then for do that. So government need for do more. When you digitalize the land ministry, I think they are doing a very good job in that now. So that then that human touch not there again. Everything digitalized. I get people ready to talk step to me say, they see that crowd again when me they in a land ministry. So I think they will go in that direction. Then secondly, but the UE building. The UE building, I remember I'm up close to the UE building because of the empty field, the alley 8 when we play ball day before when the building starts. I remember when Chaka Steven go commission that building, the survey go behind the alley 8. I said the maintenance of this building will be a problem, and that's what it is. Most of the cars where they park, they are all abandoned vehicles. They are all abandoned, and then they pay officials, and because the police supposed to pay it. So I think they pay. I don't know whether they are paying, but some people are benefiting from it. That is why the cars are being parked here. And if I can talk small about the problem again is the enforceability of their laws there. Now they will lack because it not could be a one-off something. It can start on it be a one week, then after 1-2 weeks, then the thing stop. Then you will see reoccurrence of the same traffic problems again. And there is no alternative, like when the previous caller say, where are the parking spaces? If you get parking space, we know there are disabled vehicles. I've encountered anywhere dance, there was a fire incident. The fire stopped up there, access for go through, for go put down the fire. There are so many of this, but the enforceability, how to enforce them, make sure say people them do the right thing. I just say for now, just make them comment here. I'll stop so far.
Please call back if you get additional comments, which I know you do. Just call back so we'll give other callers them the opportunity for put forward then your arguments too or suggestions. Thank you so much as usual. Thank you so much for making constructive suggestions as usual. Thanks. Please call back. Hello caller, what's your name? Where you call from?
Yes, Mr. Mengot, Mr. Ceylon, thank you for the show. My name now 49 State. I call from former Siberia, Alaska.
Oh wow, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, no problem. So this traffic issue na Salon, Salon na place where it gets to be very, very hard for implement laws and where people then get for follow correctly. So first of all, law started off by saying the issuing of the driver's license, not salon. Me not salon, I see from experience. You they get your driver's license first before you begin for learner for drive. And also the medical condition. The medical conditions of drivers in a salon. Me, I go there, I be the ship motorcar them from South Korea to Sierra Leone, and I be the ship large quantity, then 20, then 30, then 40 motorcar, then I meet with the ship on time. Me, now there I go learn a lot of things where the book not go able to teach you. Sierra Leone, you mistake carry under motorcar when a new motorcar, where they in shape, where you know they leak oil. Then go charge you some money and for take that motorcar day. It is almost impossible for you go one just left your motorcar day. You go. But if you ship all motorcar, you pay less. So now the government they talk about implementing a system wherein if you left your unparked vehicle on the road or your motorcar break down the road, you not take out within 24 hours. They discipline you, stuff like that. Why not saying anybody where they ship motorcar in a salon? If you ship old motorcar, then go charge you more for them. For discourage people, then let them not go to ship old motorcar day. But if you ship new motorcar, you go pay less tax. If you then do that, all that motorcar working parking at the side of the road, the problem will begin solved. Almost every motorcar in a salon, they leak oil. That oil where they motorcar and they can leak during the dry season, where you can leak na the quota, okay. But when rain begin come rainy season, it just feel like black ice. Without the status out there here. Now I make here every year where the winter they come, the government, the states don't pass a law. Say everybody forget fairly new tire, all season tire, or store their tires. Why? Because then tire then it look like they get spikes underneath the tires. So for help you for grip the ground because where the ground is slippery. Me na salon I see people in the drive motorcar them where get wear and tear. The motorcar they fire you don't begin to see the tread and pantap the peel. The tread and all done. Tire them puncture. Motorcar they overload. Now where rainy season they come, it is very, very dangerous for drivers. Now it make most accidents that can happen during the rainy season. I don't even think that they monitor them then here. But during the rainy season at salon, we got more accidents than the dry season. Why? Because the oil leakage by them motorcar and the way they leak, it cause a lot of disaster. Plus the speeding. And another word back where they advise so every expert over there in a salon where they road for Sierra Leone, where they work for Sierra Leone Road Authority. The word accident. The word accident at the state to sign me they don't ban them. The road authority, Sierra Leone, they're not going to use the word anymore. Why? Because they want to discourage people them. Let them not feel say, well, you don't go party all night, you don't drink, you don't smoke a kush. You know, send that money, you get for drive somebody for go certain place. You go crash and for run and die. You feel say na God marker. Nothing, no accident, no the way God mark. Now human error or mechanical failure. Waiting at the human error. You know, you speed. You know, say na speed is speed, you go crash. So then go they use the term, for example, if the policeman then an accident, then accident episode, the policeman will say no, not to accident. Now this driver be the speed and overtake the other motor car, he hit them and people then die. Then therefore they say exactly what happened. Let them not mention the word accident. Because once you say accident, automatically everybody feels in a God marker. So me na my own contribution this.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate that. We appreciate some of the suggestions that we make. And maybe me co-host go get one or two things then for say, but just listening to some of the comments made by people, in particular by this last caller, I understand sometimes, you see, not just bad government policy. Government not for discourage people them from bringing up into the country or overtax people them in such a way that it will discourage people and for bringing new vehicles into the country. Now, long time ago, a lot of Ubidi a lot of talks, some of which are very reliable, like the Yazbek team, okay, or the people who Ubidi import that son, then kind of a mutukadende, then Mazda. For say, they had something with government officials because Sierra Leoneans abroad who lived in Japan, who lived in Europe, who lived in the United States, some of them were getting into the car business, used and new cars or new vehicles. Let me say vehicles. So the thing is, there was this thing about some of these people were known to have government officials, and this is reliable information, giving them kickback and payback. So for discouraged Sierra Leoneans who themselves were interested in getting into the automobile market. So one of the way they discourage Sierra Leoneans them, listen to just what this man said, brings so many memories back. Then, like Yazbek, during Yazbek in term, if you bring Mercedes-Benz in Sierra Leone, because he had a monopoly of importing Mercedes-Benz in Sierra Leone then, and the government gave that rights there, he had the authority somehow that he could tell the government officials in the key for raise you the tax so high that you're not able to pull the motorcar. And then when you're able to pull on he in turn will turn around, go buy the motorcar and sell them. So corruption sometimes they lead to them bad government policies here. But otherwise, I mean, people should be willing or able, government forget reasonable policies where you could bring any kind of motorcar as long as they are roadworthy. Roadworthy mean because you see, the age of a vehicle not necessarily determine the worth of the vehicle other than the pricing of it. What do I mean by that? If a vehicle is 20 years old, well, it will be assumed that it's a very old vehicle. But there are people who have expensive vehicles, some Mercedes, some Lexus, another kind of motor car. I particularly am one of those people that you don't drive often. Now, luxury vehicle where you drive occasionally, maybe just go on long trips. And sometimes it can be 20 years old, they're in much better shape than a 6-year-old car. So you just can't talk about the age of the vehicle and say enough for bring them into the country. Now the roadworthiness of the vehicle, now for determine whether the vehicle for coming to the country or not. But yes, I'm against any kind of tariff or tax what could make somebody, after you don't labor abroad, you and indigenous Sierra Leonean, you bring your motor car at the port, then you're not able for pull them, commodity. Government forget policy. Even if you don't get the money, bank should be willing to lend you money for pull that motor car. It's not right for it to be abandoned because of your inability for come up with which it cost. All that they affect the country in on a large scale. So I just want to comment on that aspect there. But old vehicles, there are some old vehicles that are excellent. They are roadworthy. So I don't even know what old vehicle might be. Old vehicle in terms of years after it's been made, or old vehicle. And then sometimes you get some vehicles that are that the dealers were not able to sell. Then they're at the showroom for 2-3 years. Okay? So eventually when a vehicle and then you buy them, you don't own that vehicle. You buy a new, but maybe it was made 4 years ago. So then you own that vehicle 4 years later. Yes, it's an 8-year-old vehicle, but it's a vehicle that is in much better shape than a newer vehicle or a newer model vehicle. So we get, again, the implementation of policy, we have to be very careful. We cannot just take emotions for past laws. And we not take corrupt motive for past laws. These all get adverse effect on the economy of the country and the progress, because the chief minister did talk about private sector. Well, if you want private sector to participate, you therefore encourage them not to forget repressive policies which will discourage people from coming around. So let me just go back to Mr. Mengot, let a comment on this, some of the callers that we call.
Okay, First of all, I think say what I like to do is we need for link what some of the things that the chief minister said to issues relating to traffic law enforcement. And in this platform, I hear some of not to just the caller the way they call, some people the way they comment don't say in Sierra Leone, we lack for diagnose problem. We sabi how for diagnose problem, but we now know how for do the solution. And let's go back to waiting the me say. And I will take three things. Then after that, I will talk about respond to how you go plan and manage parking in areas where there is restriction according to the law. The minister talk about one, digitization, which is automation. You understand? Say if you digitize, you automate, it make enforcement easier. And this is not based on, before I come on this show, I listen to other programs them, like the director from the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, yeah, communications director, I listen to other people them. And when you talk about digitization in management, what we normally say is that what you can't measure, you cannot manage. So let's go back to the same law. The Road Traffic Law 2007, you get option 2, subparagraph 3. It says the authority, which is the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, is the principal licensing authority, shall be the central register of all motor vehicles and trailers of all license, and shall keep the prescribed registers and shall register therein prescribed manner. In other words, what you were saying, Road Safety Authority forget details of every vehicle we register in that country day. Right? Because if you don't get details of them vehicle the way register, you're not go able enforcement. Now then it talk about digitization. Right? I can tell you, I say, in Sierra Leone, right, having an accurate number of how many vehicles are registered in the country is also how many people then get driving license. It's also a challenge. I'm not saying no, though, let people not misquote me. But there are times you get for day in a form which is accessible. And why I say so, the same law say under subparagraph 4, the register kept under section 3 shall during working hours be open to inspection by the public on payment up to the authority of a fee to be determined by the authority. So in other words, that register, right? Anybody can access them. Now the enforcement easy. Let's say somebody bang you motor car, he run away. If you get in the vehicle number plate, you for able to go na SLRSA, pay some money, and find out who than the owner. But the other reason why we want this digitalization, in them country, a modern country, in Sierra Leone, we not get up to 500,000 registered vehicles, including all types of vehicles. So now small data. That data they get for able to get them where the enforcement authorities, when are the police, the SLRSA traffic warden, even the city council where get parking, for get access to her using a simple Android phone. We get a computer system where they call ANPR, automatic number plate recognition. So in other words, even if you want to do parking enforcement, the enforcement officers them for able get access to who that own the vehicle for enforce parking law. We know say the chief minister, Namawe, he actually get IT knowledge, is savvy. And also we come even they do that research. So and also we get people in this forum where they listen to we will get access to the chief minister. And all I said to the chief minister, based on what he say, Where we not start first for digitize, we record them on vehicle registration and driver licensing. So it will make enforcement easier. Then are the first thing I want to talk about. The next thing is talk about the private sector. Most of the vehicle in a salon, now private people can get them. Even the commercial vehicle, 95% of passenger vehicle, now private sector. So how do you team up with the private sector? Now make sure you come people like insurance can inside. For God's sake, we get the insurance commission. By law, every insurance policy for be in the safeguards of the insurance commission. So if one, some of the color that we talk about roadworthiness accident, the insurance get for be part of it. So now a collective effort. Then we talk about bribery, where the minister talk about as well. And if you want to enforce traffic law, you get to consider that aspect, the bribery aspect. We were at the public transport sector, we get what's in and called booking. Booking now what's in unofficial tax. Not to all man they do amo, where some driver now get enforcement officer when they give small thing for let them set here per overloading, per unroadiness vehicle, and all that thing in there. So these are some of the issues them where very important. So let's come back now to this parking restriction, right? And even vehicle restriction. When I listen to some of the consultation, the radio program, we talk about what we call the CBD. What's in a CBD? The Central Business District. And this then one of the things the way the minister say will enforce that Central Business District day. Now say where they will restrict for people that we don't say we go salon, Okada, na commercial motorbike. He also talk about say Okada them for make sure say then get helmet for the passenger. Of course, we don't see them with helmets, but one of the problem is when it comes to law enforcement, because when I listen to the communication director from SLRSA, he said if the Okada man takes somebody and the person not agree wear helmet, you know for care and go, because if you take the person not wear helmet, the charge is now on the rider, not on the passenger. It is on the rider, not on the passenger where refuse to wear helmet. And for God's sake, we get law in a salon we say Okada not for take more than one person. Right? But we dey see plenty where Okada they take 2 or 3 people them. We dey see woman there. Like where they can talk about one a belly, one a back. You see woman, even belly woman, they get picking in a back, we dey see comrade and they take picking in the Ola, and then a Okada. So that risk elements there. Now the citizens them get for look at the risk element. Now make sure this program we call it citizenships, rights, duties, and obligation. When government make law, you the citizen, you get your obligation, you get duties for provide yourself for let you be safe. So let me address this issue of the Central Business District and who sign at the restriction, because then are the thing where people are not begin talk, because they talk about who say you know for park your motor car, who say you know for left your motor car. The Central Business District, as far as I know, based on my own knowledge of traffic planning in Salon, it starts from St. John. And it starts from St. John, and you take and say, you go up Campbell Street, na part of CBD. You go Pademba Road, na part of CBD. You go Sanit, na part of CBD. You go down Adelaide Street, na part of CBD. That junction there, for go Kuto Road, na part of CBD. You go Shaka Stevens Street, Wilberforce Street, Kisi Road, Frobe Road, take go up Gunton Table. But also you get some adjacent road then to the CBD where you get restriction for parking. When I like Circular Road, Side Street for Kandong to Kintom. All that they mention. But now, when you look at the CBD, the roads the way they between Pademba Road and Shaka Stevens Street. That we talk about from Brook Street to Waterloo Street to Liverpool Street. Take go some of them road and then a one-way street. So now that road and then you get forget this control parking zone where you get for determine who say na free parking, not a free parking because nothing is free. Who say na restricted parking where means say you not for park there more than 2 hours. Who say the resident then where you get forget resident car parking permit. Then also the business them also we get parking. So we get forget this parking policy, the strategy, the areas that will identify. All the one and they get for them in place where for make the law enforcement very effective. Then we go back to what they talk about this digitization. Forget that system when an automatic number plate recognition. So if a police officer or a traffic warden they enforce parking regulation, when he puts that number plate there, he know exactly who then are the person. He go send an SMS say you don't get parking violation and almost at the fine. So then random check, then can pick you up. So we need that digitization. We need to bring sanity into the transport, whereby we reduce corruption by bribery and make sure say no one is above the law. And also then big alejo them. You know, because we'll not take the ordinary man, we'll get the big alejo them. And one of the problem them, I call them the bully boys. Because MP get a number plate. You know, where minister get a number plate. But minister no go park on side, you say, you know, for park here. You know, the man we get for go enforce that parking, the driver go ask and say, "Bro, you want your job?" And again, when this President Bio came 5 years ago, one of his first executive order. Now for the one day where they broke traffic, them big alejo. Say nobody know for broke traffic. But that is just say let make the noise. But implementation ain't no problem. Because for implement, number one, you get for digitize. Number two, if you will police the enforcement officer, they will get for make them mobile. Give them motorbike, let them move, give them communication, two-way communication, give them radio communication. Also, we get forget even number the way citizens self now they involved in enforcement. Where if you see somebody park bad or dangerously, you get number where you go call where the enforcement officer they will come. For can do it just like how we get number they now wait for call for abandoned vehicle. So that left and day, and from all length I don't say you from your point as a legal person and somebody where they don't know the other side comment and some of them suggestion I don't make. So let people know say we're not just the call no more, we make suggestion. But before you can say, we get one caller on the line, prompt the caller and let us continue.
Hello caller, what's your name? Where's the call from?
Yes, Mr. Mingo. Sorry again. I mean, 49th day they call from Siberia, Alaska.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So they try for clarify the reason why they talk about old motor car versus new motor car. So, for example, if you ship a 1997 Toyota RAV4, you buy a $7,000, and then you ship a 2020 Hyundai Santa Fe, you buy a $7,000, same price, right? We already know, say the Toyota, even though you old, the engine guaranteed past that 2020 motor car when at the Honda Santa Fe. But to them, it doesn't matter. They go with the age. Once the vehicle age is newer, you pay more tax. In fact, for example, if you pay the $7,000 for buy that 1998 Toyota RAV4 and you buy $7,000 that 2020 Honda Santa Fe, you go almost pay $3,000 to $4,000 for take that 2020 Honda Santa Fe, why the 1997 RAV4 you pay probably $1,000 for take them out. So I just want to clarify that. And then other thing back I want add on Mr. Mengot in comment about the laws, we then say they want to digitize all details of the vehicle where motorcar and get them for no. Well, every container which, like I said, maybe the ship 2014, 2016, 2017. Every motorcar we send nada seaport, the Sierra Leone seaport. Parliament know about them. I don't know how Parliament, the agent in Wataki, and the banks and the work. But I can read one of the Sierra Leone Port Authority's regulation now, right? The implementation of an advanced cargo declaration scheme, CTM or ACD, in Sierra Leone is a component of the requirement for governments, port authority, and shipping companies compliance on ISPS code, which is the International Ship Port Facility Security Code. Okay, on the 2nd December 2014. The Sierra Leone Parliament, at its sitting, tabled the cargo tracking note, which is the advanced cargo declaration management in the Sierra Leone port. Okay. Consequently, from 15 February 2015, every commodity loaded, unloaded, or transit, export, import, and transit at the Sierra Leone, okay, let me see, at the Sierra Leone port must be noticed by Parliament. So that means Parliament know any ship, any container where go to that country day, any goods and service where they inside that container, any motorcar in details, Parliament know about that already. So even if now they can't digitize them, where be the Parliament already know them here, even though they're not digitized, they tend to be the ship, but Parliament know every detail about any container, any motorcar, how much you pay for them, nada problem. But maybe I believe say Parliament, Wataki, the agent in Wataki and the banks, there is a connection in there. So now that no more me want add.
Okay, I can't, Mr. Shilon, we can't hear you. They hearing me now?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think say we control room be the access if we can take call from one more caller.
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can.
We can. Yeah, we can take call from that caller.
Hello, me answer the call from Ireland.
Okay,
I don't know if Sierra Leoneans they know the problem and just they ignore the problem, or I know they don't know how to solve the problem. Because the reason is you not go able to cut taxes down where you know the exports. You know they able to cut where they create job that they ease that cushion there where people are able to import and that make it the exports. So you go able to ease that cushion there. But if you don't export, it just depends on for tax people and our key or they import goods and they for the government will able to run, then they therefore increase their taxes. And the more you increase, because you know they sell goods them out, that they depreciate the currency because the person when they go back in 10 months that they can't sell a salon because you don't increase the taxes and our taxi. In the relax, you know, they go tell them in a salon, they go to Guinea. And the man when they sell the petrol now, therefore count the petrol and salon for can't pay 10 taxes a day. And when a man they count the petrol and salon, definitely if they pay that tax, they increase the price of the fare. And if they buy do the Okada now, when they go buy that fare there, now in the tree that inside your price go increase the Okada price up. So this creates more inflation and it depreciates the currency they fall. The root of it is you need for exports. You know, able to balance them. If you say no more, it depends no more on our Turkey, you know the import and you know it depend part. Because you get for eight them up, and the people then get for balance you. Now the problem, the people then get for balance. Now just like one caller they talk about the one you locate, the one you locate the people that for Abacha Street. If you want to go build store, if you want to go build market other side, what if what they do? Count the people like where they pin the table like, what the one where they snap that tweet to, the one where they pin table around Abacha Street. From the beginning to the end, they don't want shoes in a grown. Now because the port is not able to map, make it a grown. Possibility that if you get table, they pay for that table day. So if it's map, they know they count you. Count 10 people a day, you know it's not 300 people a more. Then you know say the market where I need are for make them 400 because people in there for promote up college where they don't get job at moment they to not make marketing at 400 tables there because you don't get survey for 300 people that get when they lay the market and are gone. So when you go make 400 tables then they people they don't get for left Abacha Street again, then go tell Nagan Street because they get place where they all the feed. But if you don't do that and they just go build small market, then because of 300 people they sell Abacha Street, they won't go relocate there. So then the market will go build for 100 people there. So the 200 people there, but they won't go gas Street. And they flop back all over the street. And you will begin to run after them again. Because you know they find the way out for solve the problem. You know go able to cut taxes down when you know the exports. No way. The government they collapse. Because the only I think the salon government depend. And that's the problem. You get for first time are they able export. When you able export, you know they put too much body so then people they import because you get where they get revenue. So they know they able tax them too much. And the more you eat that tax day, that's what the people back to tell Okada, Mama will tell the pastor, he will able to survive. Because you don't press too much, they put too much pressure there. But because they get no way for get money, this don't give now the way for increase taxes, increase. And the more you increase them, the more the money they buy the they balance you. And when they balance you, the money they buy the pet, you go in there for cow the pet, go na salon day. And when you can't pay that tax, what is the people they do? Because less multiply and then the country now, so it therefore increase in petrol price up because they don't can face the higher tax and you get less multiply there. So when you increase in petrol price up, if they buy the Okada, if they can buy that petrol, they increase in price up. So this is the trigger inflation. So we need to know the problem, how to solve them. We need to create jobs. Otherwise, we're not going to able to balance this problem. Thank you very much. I don't have any contribution.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your call. We appreciate your suggestion. This is what we greatly encourage people and for do come up with ideas, because like I say, ideas now separate we from advanced countries, because we not only think things, they not they only think things, then they put vision and think into works, and where they make them appear for be smarter than we are. So policies are the key. So my thing is, briefly, may I just comment quickly before I turn it over to Mr. Mengot, just to make some observations. Part of enforcement also, when we talk about enforcement, Mr. Mengot talk about mobility of the police officers, then, meaning they should be able to move around. We don't have to buy them cars, but we can able to provide motorbikes. Nowadays, we can talk all we want, say, oh, money not there for that, without pointing fingers. If we are serious, we know a lot of wasteful spending when government engage in. We governments them, not necessarily this government, the immediate preceding government, the government before that. A lot of wasteful spending where they can engage in. Where if then divert that, I mean, there are many ways the government can save money for improved system. For example, maybe if the president is traveling, he doesn't need to take an entourage of 15, 16, 20 people. He could take 5 in chief minister and 1 or 2 other people. All that money they will then save from per diem to feeding and lodging and transportation. Cumulatively can buy series of motorbikes for police officers, for be able to enforce some of their laws there. This is not just one practical example. And there are many ways ministers, top cabinet officers are getting money in the thousands of dollars that the public doesn't even know about. I mean, the monies that could be uh, diverted into more productive use. That you get a handful of people and way, and then they enjoy that money. Then they say we'll not get, we'll not get, we'll not get. Where in fact we get, but we waste them. That's one. Two, enforcement also will entail drunk driving. I am not sure we have drunk driving laws in our country, you know, because, we talk about safety, road safety. Well, if we want road safety,
Just before you go, we get drunk driving laws, but I'll make a very ironic statement on that.
Okay,
Right?
all right.
I listened to the director of communication from SLRSA. When people then talk about drunk driving, he talk about breathalyzer. And guess what? He said, "Na the Sierra Leone brewery, na give them breathalyzer. The one way brewery been give them, it don't done. So
Wow.
then they expect to renew an MOU for let brewery give them more breathalyzer. I mean, the irony of it, the people that way they sell rum, you understand? When they cause result in drink driving. Now the same people that they go to expect them for give breathalyzer for breathalyze people that where they consume them product. So long left and so. I just want to clarify, say
well, it goes back to which
we get drink driving laws in a salon. We even get the limits we get forget. You can either use a breathalyzer or you can do blood tests. All that in the Road Traffic Act 2007. If you want, I can give you even the reference.
Okay, so we'll go back to enforcement. So the laws are there. So we therefore come up with ways how these laws should be enforced. Forget the effect what we anticipate. You see, because in fact, the breathalyzer.
Okay, just for the reference, because me I like reference. It's under section 102 of the Road Traffic Act 2007. Because we like for let people and they know what to they talk now. I say not to way they make them. It say driving under the influence. Let's just read that for you, sir. Because a person who, while driving or attempting to drive a motor vehicle on the road, is under the influence of alcohol or drugs to such a degree as to be incapable of having proper control of the vehicle, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction. A, where no bodily injury, or 2, minor bodily injury to any person, to a fine not exceeding 100,000 leons, or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months. He also talk where bodily injury of an aggravated knowledge to a minimum fine of 250,000 leons and not exceeding 500,000 leons, or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 1 year and not exceeding 2 years. Then C, where death occurs to a fine of not less than 1 million leons. 1 million leons is less than, if you look at today's conversion rate, is $50. So a person's life is only worth $50, or to a term of imprisonment not less than 3 years or not exceeding 5 years. So why I read all that here, because at the time when the lawyer been passed in 2007, if you look at the exchange rate or even look at the earning capacity, I think say even that 10 days minimum wage not be even reach 400,000. The dollar at 2007 was probably 3,000-4,000 leons to a dollar. Now we are talking about almost 20,000 leons to a dollar. So even the law is not static. We get for review them fines and then what you again we talk about, you talk about the punitive measure, the affordability. So I just say like clarify that and get you to continue, sir. Sorry for taking up the floor. But
no, that's fine. I appreciate. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you just said. But if I'm listening to the law, as you just read it, the law gets a big downside or gap where a very good lawyer, again, I think probably you have to be an American trained trial lawyer. I see a gap there because the law seems to be more focused on the consequences of drunk driving, but they not lay a threshold. How do you determine that the person is under the influence? How high in the breathalyzer is it supposed to blow? How high is his blood test supposed to reflect in terms of alcohol content? The law seems
it's in another section of the law.
Okay, so because unless that is there, you cannot find the person guilty because
okay, let's go to section 103. If fine, I make sure I say section 103 say, yeah. Okay, no. It says 108. Yeah. Prescribed limit that is 35 micrograms of alcohol in 100 millimeters of breath. Or 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 millimeters of blood. Or 107 milligrams of alcohol in 100 millimeters of urine. Or such other proportion as may be prescribed by regulation made under this act.
Okay, and there we go again. Now, when you pass such law,
tests, it also talk about urine tests, it talk about alcohol blood tests, and give the basic standard whereby you go fail the law. So it's there. That is under section 108 of the Road Traffic Act 2007.
Okay, now on the books, it sounds impressive. But here is what a solid lawyer will beat all of that down. Because you just mentioned just now, where the government itself doesn't seem to have the measuring instruments for determining them violations there, all this quantity within the chalkboard. Because then just say, then they get the last set would then get now from the brewery. So government itself need to get Daniel independent purchasing equipment them where people then will be tested for make sure say what the person is being accused of is actually within the context of the law. So
not only that, sir, add something else. With Standards Bureau, therefore be able for calibrate the equipment for make sure say it get accurate reading. But smart lawyer like in herself can go and ask who then are the people that will certify that equipment or calibrator.
Precisely.
Or even the person administering that test. Was that person trained? So there are so many other aspects of it which we have to look at, sir. My role as a traffic engineer and lawyer is to point the anomalies here.
Okay, and this is where the legal profession, but the lawyers, I don't think are trained in those lines back home anyway. So they will not be thinking in those terms. And since we lawyers are back home, when they come abroad, they are not interested in learning anything about legal systems of other country, but just to get degree on paper, go back home. That's how all them bad laws here, they come about. Because people don't come to acquire the necessary knowledge, to acquire the practical training needed to help the country. But I can assure you, because there is also one aspect of impaired driving. There's also another way of testing, what we call road or field sobriety test. We get that too. When the police
fatigue.
Yeah, where the police
that's
can
where
say,
legislation
put your head backward, touch the tip of your nose, stand on one leg, make a solid roundabout turn for just the officer can determine your dexterity for see how well you are able, if you miss for touch your nose, if you're able for stand on your one leg for 1 minute, if you're able for turn around and about to turn. I mean, there are many things. And if you get slurred speech, these are all subjective observations that the police officer can look. Or when you drive the vehicle, if you were steady in your lane, or if you were you zigzagging. This is not a scientific stuff, but these are subjective things, but credible, So then go ask the officer, how? Were you able to observe the driver? Yes, I was. For how long? Well, I drove behind him for at least a mile. And in that distance, did any vehicle come between the two of you? No. I steadily followed him. Was he steady in his lane? No, he was not. Tell the court what you observe. Well, several times he went over the median line, or let's say 5 times, 6 times, and was not steady and went on the other side of the road. These are all subjective, reliable pieces of evidence upon which you can convict people. But again, that's Sierra Leone. You know, when you learn book one term knowledge, you get all the knowledge. Sierra Leonean lawyers, they don't have continuing legal education. They think they have all the skills, which they don't. They have little or no skills, particularly trial skills. And so now the public to suffer because they don't get the quality of defense that they need. And they don't get the quality of defense. So the ordinary man is just to go, then plead and guilty, then final. And also the other point that the helmet thing where you mentioned, these are just quick things I want to touch on. I think the law with respect to requirement for the Okada rider for get helmet for passengers them might be a little bit problematic for a variety of reasons, but the most important of which is health reason. I'm not sure if I want to put a helmet on my head where somebody else don't wear it. Suppose the person gets lice, what we can call loss, and so you know, and suppose the person don't perspire and that in the nose can disease it beget. It could create it's a health hazard. But I'm very much in agreement with not taking more than one passenger at a time, and that include a woman with a carry picking and back, or even a pregnant woman and pass law for the safety of that unborn child. That I'm in agreement with because I mean you do protect life, you do protect health. But again, like I say, reasonable men can differ. So when these laws are proposed, there should be people like us and other people who see things differently, who can say, well, the helmet thing sounds fine, but what about the health aspect? You know, I don't feel comfortable, nor do I think it's healthy for me to put helmet on my head with 20 other people don't put on the head, you know, and that kind of stuff. Let me see. Now, and then one of the most destructive things in our system, what we get for stop, now this special interest law, you know, then get what you call interest group. When they enforce them here or they not they enforce them, that's because they try to protect a particular group of business people. Unless we do all our there. So the chief minister, he see the problem and he can get solutions, but he has to listen to people of variety of ideas and people of diversity of ideas, not people of the same thought process, which Australians and the government are expert at. Then go get a committee full of people who learn at the same institutions, they come in at the same area, then they think alike, then they expect them to come up with serious and solution to matters. So if you're going to form committees, if you're going to come up with laws, sometimes propose these laws, let people like us hear them. We will come up with counter thing for them and take into account that they may not have thought about when they are making these laws. Because again, this is all for the protection of the public. You know, we want for pass good laws, but we want for be able to enforce them. And so I just want to touch on any quick things. I'm back to you, Mr. Mengo.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Sheila. I think say today we'll give people overtime. Now, I don't say it all, and what I will tell we listeners them. I know say some people like you watch we program them after we done. In Agona with Facebook page, in Agona with Twitter page, in Agona with Instagram, let us get suggestion. Because this traffic law enforcement is continuous and is something that we want to reduce deaths on our roads. It will be surprise people that on average in Sierra Leone with that such population, when you take the ownership vehicle, the ratio of ownership of vehicle ownership to people is very, very low. We get on average over 3,000 deaths every year on our roads, with over 11 to 12,000 seriously injured. So for done this one, we go on for continue. Let people then suggest areas of the law which they want us to deal with in terms of traffic. We'll be willing to do part 3, subject to demand. But I want left this to the chief minister in appeal way make say he need we all for come on board. I will ask him to look at 2 things. One, he mentioned digitization. Let us digitize our records for driver and vehicle licensing. And as the law says, let the ordinary person get access to them. Let the ordinary police officer get access to them. Let's put a timeline. If you need help, some of us have worked in the system, we can help them. Secondly, most of we lost them, and the one I don't read, it says for implement the fine or the punitive measures. It says on summary conviction. So how can you say on summary conviction where we not get a legal system for somebody for either challenge the decisions of an enforcement officer or for enforcement officer for enforce the law? So we must look at establishment of traffic courts in our country. So now the two suggestions down there where I get for Guy, if they want the way now we get the years of the chief minister and even the two other minister them, whether the Minister of Transport and the Minister of let them listen, and me, Victor Mengot, they say tata, until we meet next week, and subject to demand, we will continue for the educating about the law and visit this issue about traffic law enforcement. So stay safe this week. Make sure say nothing happen to you. Wait in a salon. Know who is taking you around. Monitor your driver them. And until we meet next week, Nami they say tata. Unless me co-host want say goodbye.
Just a
now we stop this program. Extend the time today because it's a very pertinent topic. Yes, sir.
Mr. Tyler, in one of the regular people, then we can contribute to the show and call and listen. I've been reading comments just a few minutes ago. Say it would be wise. This is a compliment to you, Mr. Mengot, that if the chief minister is listening, he will be wise to be in consultation with you. In fact, there we go again. I am certain. Oh, okay. Mr. Mengot's. Oh, well, it keeps changing. I was going to read. I'm certain Mr. Mengot is.
One.
Well, the previous
when
one, even this one.
Encyclopedic knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you may want to read it because this is about you. And I think it's
Mr. Mengot's encyclopedic knowledge in the traffic sector should be useful and invaluable to the present pose and determination of the chief minister and the internal affairs minister. I suggest that this man, Mr. Mengot, be included immediately to help tidy up the mess and chaos in the traffic sector. Thank you very much for your seal of approval. I'm involved in it. This program, I've circulated it to a wider forum, and I know say people and they, some of the program where I put there, people and they will go get access to the chief minister. And unless people, I'm not touting for a job, I'm a retired man of 46 years experience, but I want to give something back to the country. So I'm open to providing solutions rather than criticism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. We greatly appreciate it. And we're regular listeners and contributors. Thanks for listening. We look forward to being together again next Sunday. Until then, goodbye.
All right. Well, this is now a voice of Saloon, 91.9 FM. We did all the way now Yamsam, Mame Bangwa, and of course, as you see, a terrible accident just occurred right now, and we get a lot of victims there. Of course, a lot of people get injured, and some of them they don't rush to them in the hospital right now. While some of them right now them don't come and then fumble and they don't come take them right now. And of course we come meet various things them. Of course just seeing one out of the thing. This na the Moscalis.
danger we